Hello everybody, BakaWashu here, and welcome back to Little Goody Two Shoes. Alright, so it's raining outside, and we've got some stuff to do already. First and foremost, let's talk to our girlfriend. It's really boring, isn't it? Oh, we'll be drenched in no time. It reminds me of when Granny and I would go on strolls in the rain. Hey, I've done that before. Why would you do such a thing? It's as Granny always used to say, Elise. We ought to embrace things as they are, in their purest state. I'm not sure that applies to the rain, Rozenmarine. Why, it applies to everything in life, Elise. If you say so. Starting to kill me. Starting to kill me. This week went by so quickly, didn't it? I can hardly believe it's almost the full moon, too. What of it, Rozenmarine? Your fate will be revealed tomorrow, Elise. Both our fates, in a way. You truly can't think of anything else, can you? Can you? Oh, for goodness sake. I can tell you're rather restless, Elise. Well, I haven't been having much rest lately, have I? I suppose, but, it's alright, Rozenmarine. We ought to embrace it, right? Embrace everything in its purest state. Yes. How are we gonna craft the blood into a drink? Say, Elise, why don't you go to your grandmother's room? There's nothing to see there is all. I suppose, but it's where she passed, too. I don't like to be reminded of it. I haven't gone back to my granny's resting place, either. So, you do understand why I don't go in there. In a way, I do. In a way, huh? Well, I mean, it's like, what? 1/3 the rooms? 1/4 the rooms in the house? Granny Holly rooms, huh? I won't be going in there ever again, I don't think. Oh, I bet we are. I bet we are going in there. There's no way. We already had some hints about the key and so on. I do wonder where that key went. That Serpent isn't to be trusted, I know, but even so, I still want it. I still want him to grant my wish. To become rich, to escape this town and live the life I deserve. Or, I mean, we could just live with cute scarecrow girlfriend. Seems like that could work, or any of them. Maybe in another life. Wonder if Granny's gonna be out in the rain. Oh my gosh, she is. Wouldn't it be best to stay inside today, Granny Gretel? Oh, I wouldn't want to miss you, dearie. I mean it, Granny. This can't be good for you. I'd say it's a good thing, Mrs. Gretel. Atta girl, lassie. Maybe you could learn a thing or two from your cousin, Elise. Oh, you're both losing your minds. Speaking of which, my dear. Is this about Lebkuin? Keep an eye on her for me, will you? She's rather stubborn, as you know. Alright, I will. Lebkuin, what are you doing now? I'd wager she's likely still not feeling her best. For goodness sake, Lebkuin. Alright, let me see. How am I doing on food? I have plenty of money for right now. Guess we'll grab a pretzel. I'm sure something will hit me at one point. Oh, there it is. Apple strudel. Flaky apple strudel neatly decorated and sliced into thick portions. Isn't this someone else's favorite snack? I like the detail about the cat being under the trees. Anything? Rozenmarine, you could live here if things don't work out between us. Huh. Oh, wow. Where is everyone? I suppose folks wouldn't like standing in the rain.
For goodness sake.
Folks don't care about that in Kieferberg, Rozenmarine. Come now, let's see what's going on.
Yes.
You give me a message, find out what happened. We should trust them, Brunhilde. Oh, but what are we to do if they don't come back, Dorothy? Who's now coming back, Mrs. Brunhilde? Good grief, Elise, don't say that. The lads went out on patrol is all. I see. Can't say I'm not worried about this rain, but, they're grown men. They can fend for themselves, I'm sure. Oh, but what about what happened to your husband? Anyhow, Lisbeth, I'll be expecting you, Dorothy. Expecting Mrs. Dorothy? Class is going to be held at home today, Elise. We wouldn't want to have the children out in this rain, after all. Well, they won't take kindly to staying home all day. Anything new for sale? I'll think about it. Probably I'll do another Walpurga oil. Or essence of Walpurga, whatever they call it. Okay, so Freya's right there. No, I didn't think you girls were coming by today. I can't very well afford to stay home on a weekday, can I? Even Elise is out and about, Mama. I said, no, Jacob, you're staying home until this rain leaves us. Ah, but Mama... It wouldn't be that bad for the boy to come out. But what if he falls ill? Did you forget what happened to Apple already? Miss Wilma stays inside the inn all day, and she's fine, Mama. Well, I guess it's too bad you're not Wilma, isn't it? Your mother's right, Jacob. What if you're too sick for the festival tomorrow? Oh, but Mrs. Lisbeth's letting Apple and, Do I look like Lisbeth to you? Off you go now. That's right. Put the foot down. Best not to meddle. You tell him, Elise. Huh? Could have sworn you two would be staying home today. It's just a little rain, Mr. Gustav. It'll ease up soon enough, I'd wager. That's what I keep telling him. You lassies are as stubborn as mules, aren't you? Papa? It's no big deal, Mr. Gustav. We'll manage. Why, thank you, Elise. What happened to the maypole makes it very big deal, I'd say. I can't have you working into the night, Freya. What happened to the maypole? A few of the flowers got torn off by the wind and the rain is all. I'm sorry, Freya. Oh, Elise, that's all right. But all that work was wasted. And it was coming along so well, too. I gotta make it even prettier now, that's all. I only hope the rain won't tear it down again. Oh, you think I'm losing my wits, too? No such thing, Mrs. Audley. What's wrong, Mrs. Audley? This rain, lass, that's what's wrong. It's just a little rain. What do you know, lassie? There's no need to be so curt, Mrs. Audley. Look how dark the sky is, Lebkuin. We nearly need our lanterns and in broad daylight. What do you think the cause is? Lack of faith, Elise, yours and all of Kieferberg's. None of this would have happened had we all prayed. It may be best you two leave. I'll handle this. Cracks her knuckles. Poor Lebkuin. You're gonna get a scolding, Mrs. Audley. I can't help but think it was ill will, Mrs. Marielle. What is, Mrs. Ariane? You think someone did all that to the maypole, Mrs. Arion? That's what we all think, Elise. Are you certain it couldn't have been the rain? With all that's been going on, lass, it's such a shame. She put so much time into it. Maybe we're making a greater deal out of it than we ought to. I'm certain that's it, Mrs. Marlin. Oh, how I would like to believe you, Elise. Nobody would purposely tear it down, would they? I don't think so. Even I will lend Freya a hand with the maypole if need be, Bertha. These two lassies will too, I'd wager. Of course, Mr. Heinrich. This was ill will, Father. It could have been the rain, Mrs. Bertha. As it likely was anyhow. What matters is that we lend Freya a hand, folks. Heinrich's right, we can't be without a maypole tomorrow. Oh, it truly has been one thing after another. We ought to gather for prayers. I would like all of Kieferberg to gather in the church this afternoon. You're doing something at last. It's imperative we are all united and of the same mind. I'll make certain to spread the word, Father. Gathering all these frightened folks in the same place can't be a good thing. I suppose I can't miss it, though. All right. It's you. It was you, Elise. What have I done now, Martha? You tore down the maypole. Have you completely lost your mind, Melly? Oh, so it wasn't you, Elise. Of course it wasn't me, you little... Wait, have you been telling folks it was me who... Not yet. I came to you for some apple strudel. You're not telling anyone anything of the sort, you hear me? Watch me, I can run really fast, Elise. All right. Is this what you want? You'll keep your mouth shut then. I'll say nothing, not even a little squeak. Oh, I'll be the one making you squeak if you dare utter a single word, Maggie. Star Briber successfully bribed Muffy for a whole week. This better be the last time I have to bribe her. I thought she was gonna ask for a straight-up turkey dinner. I really did. Can you believe the weather we're having, Elise? After all the trouble I had yesterday. Trouble with what, Mrs. Zelma? Why, drawing water from the well, Elise. Only for it to overflow and now this rain, too. For goodness sake, what have we done to deserve this? The festival's tomorrow, Mrs. Zelma. What of it, Elise? The festival's the festival, it won't solve anything. Why, it might at least lift folks' spirits. No, lassie. That's the last time I try to cheer up this old hag. Wow. Don't catch cold standing out here, Rozenmarine. That's alright, Elise, I'm used to it. And it's so awfully nostalgic, too. Nostalgic, you say? I miss spending time in nature, you see. Granny and I would often dance about in the rain. You'd be catching colds quite often, I imagine. Oh, on the contrary. I may look fragile, but I'm tough. Stubborn, too. Elise. I wouldn't know what to do if you got sick, Rozenmarine. I can take care of myself, Elise. Oh, don't you start. I'm trying to look after you here. Like you always do, I know. Oh, for goodness sake. She did reach Kieferberg all by herself. Now, we don't know how far she actually walked. Maybe she walked way more than we think. What are you doing out here in the rain, Lebkuin? I've been visiting folks' homes is all. What for? Everyone's a little bit on edge because of this rain. Father Hans wanted me to help settle the townsfolk. Sent you to entertain this foolery, huh? It's alright, Elise. I'm feeling rather well rested. Even if that's the case, Lebkuin. It's the festival tomorrow, Elise. What does the festival have to do with it? Why, it's only one more day. As long as you don't push it. I won't. Father Hans is just keeping her busy for the sake of it, that's what. I'm afraid Wilma simply won't listen, Ariane. Mrs. Wilma's being unreasonable again, I'd wager. Wilma's refusing to allow folks to work in her inn. Even though we can't make ourselves useful in this rain. Huh. She's doing it on purpose to rile us up, that hag. Mrs. Wilma's always been like this, hasn't she? Next thing we know, she'll be blaming Miss Wilma for it. I wouldn't say you're wrong, Elise. She's right. Wilma's always been difficult. I wouldn't put it past her to blame poor Wilma. Oh, to think we were this hopeful just this Sunday. The festival's tomorrow, Mrs. Ariane. It'll be fine. We can only hope, Elise. Who knows? Maybe Mrs. Wilma will get what she deserves sooner rather than later. That's good to hear, I suppose. You speak as though you'd rather have us find something, Loralee. Find what, Mr. Heinrich? We were discussing last night's patrol is all. It was rather uneventful, tiring, if anything. I find it strange nobody's found anything since Tuesday is all. It's like you want the rich to be real. Isn't it better this way, Mrs. Loralee? That must mean there's no witch, wouldn't you say? Truly, I'll take this over finding horseshoes and whatnot. No offense, Eugen. None taken, Heinrich. I share the sentiment. I suppose you're right, lass. Mrs. Loralee doesn't have anything better to do, does she? Gossiping with the lads. Hard at work even in this awful rain? I couldn't say the same about you, Mr. Wilhelm. I'm too old to fret over a little rain. Actually, I think that's the opposite. You can't keep me from my morning walks. I suppose no one can, no. Folks are too preoccupied with this witch nonsense. Even a rainy day is knocking them sideways. At least the festival will bring them some peace of mind, won't it? Let us hope it does, lass, but you never know. What do you mean, Mr. Wilhelm? Folks are addicted to this foolery, that's what I mean. That's why I'm avoiding everyone until this afternoon. Must look after myself. Addicted, you say? Huh. They're just superstitious. That's a rather sensible way to look at it, isn't it? It must have been someone, that's for certain. About the maypole, I assume. Oddly certain it was ill will, Elise. You've seen what that windstorm did to Kieferberg last Sunday, Audley. Perhaps the maypole suffered the same fate. We've all had enough, Mrs. Audley. The festival's tomorrow, Mrs. Audley. Give it a rest. On the contrary, lass, it's never been this bad. Now that's a proper exaggeration, Audley. She's right, Mechtilda. Didn't Father Hans say we're to gather this afternoon? If there's anyone who know what to do, it'll be him. Oh, you lot will never understand. Some folks will do anything to live in fear, won't they? Ah, Elise, I can lend you a hand with the maypole, Freya. Oh, it's not that. It's Mrs. Wilma. She won't allow me and Mrs. Linda to work on the maple inside the inn. Oh, for goodness sake. Because of the rain, you see. Why does she always have to be such a... It's alright, Elise. Mrs. Linda will be stopping by to lend a hand in a little while. These folks are pushing it, that's what. I'll figure it out, Elise. If you say so. Freya truly is too submissive. She's dedicated, and yet she's just trying to keep the peace. Still, Brunhilde, you shouldn't say such things. I suppose not, but, getting an earful, Mrs. Brunhilde? Best not stick your nose in other folks' business, lassie. Thought I'd give Mrs. Brunhilde some of my sympathy is all. Oh, Elise, this week has been so hard on everyone. All the more reason not to antagonize me over trivial things. It's far from being triviality, Mrs. Bertha. What are you talking about? Mrs. Bertha said it's a good thing Freya's maypole got torn down, Elise. She can make it prettier this time around, that's all. Oh, God. Only that's not what you said, Mrs. Bertha. You're old enough to know the way you say things doesn't matter, Brunhilde. What are you bickering over? It's good that Mrs. Brunhilde's talking some sense into her, at least. That's right, get her. Make her see the error of her ways. Well, that's relief, Linda. What is, Mrs. Lisbeth? Oh, we were chatting about the festival, Elise. It's finally happening, but now we have this rain. We've had worse than a little rain, Mrs. Lisbeth. That's true. Things are looking up despite everything. And Apple seems to be feeling better. I figured I would let them both out for a little while. Has he stopped talking about the witch, Lisbeth? I don't know, Linda. I think he's keeping something from me. My 2 remaining goats are still ill, too. Mrs. Lisbeth. The festival will bring back some peace, Lisbeth. Father Hans has finally arranged for a doctor to drop by, at least. Oh, that's wonderful, Lisbeth. Or is it? Mrs. Lisbeth is still dealing with the same problems, huh? I wonder why Apple's decided to keep it to himself all of a sudden. Now this is a rare sight, Elise. What is, Mr. Finn? Rather rare seeing you in church. Unless Lebkuin's in here, that is. Move along, chaps. We don't have time for this. Where are you going? We came by to find old Wilhelm. We want to use his workshop to finish those stalls. He's out and about on his morning walk, I suppose. That old lad's restless, that's what he is. I can only hope I'll have half his energy when I'm his age. Why else would I come to this wretched place if not to talk to Lebkuin? What chores did we even have available? Oh, there's a chore over here. Oh. Ill will is inevitable, as much as it saddens me to say. Folks are at their wits' end, that's what. I wouldn't say it's, ill will. I understand, lass, nobody wants to believe one of us could have done it. That's because it wasn't one of us. You're the one who's at the root of all this hearsay nonsense, old Oaken. Come now, Bernard, let's keep it civil. Keep it civil? With old Oaken around. Mr. Bernard's right, I'd say. Folks wouldn't have thought of the witch if it hadn't been for old Oaken. In fact, I'd wager Folks would have forgotten about it by now if you'd let them. I must say I agree, lass. Many things could have been avoided. No, many things have been avoided thanks to me. Is he right? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Be that as it may, we're to take this week as a learning experience, which is why we ought to gather for a vigil. Gathering everyone for prayer, that'll bring us together. I've let Lebquin know to make preparations. Old Oaken's been rather well behaved lately, hasn't he? I mean, I guess. There you are. Everyone's favorite. Why are you hiding out here? Alone. Yeah, weirdo. Where's the chore, though? There you are. By the swing, are ya? The old geezer is unbelievable. What's the matter now, Mrs. Wilma? Old Wilhelm promised to meet me here, yet he's nowhere to be found. How is Wilma to fix the inn without his tools? Miss Wilma? Why, she does nothing all day, lass. Might as well have her lend a hand. True, she just sits there, being all hot and stuff. I thought she was looking after your inn, Mrs. Wilma. Looking after my inn, you say? All she does is sit at the counter all day. I mean, she's manning the counter. Keep your shop open, Mrs. Wilma. Why, that's the least she can do, wouldn't you say? I suppose, but I wouldn't, She's right where she belongs, that's what. Leaving for Primaldorf at the first chance she got to learn a trade, she said. Oh, she's also out of here. All I've seen her learn is to sleep on the job. Yet she's everyone's favorite. Prettier, nicer, with the bigger hair, the bigger personality. I see how it is. Always got all the praise while I've been here working myself to the bone. Well, yeah, I mean, also you're like a jerk. It's best I leave her to it. I mean, to be fair, Wilma is better. Didn't notice that. Wilma and Welma, are they sisters? Maybe she's the older sister? I can't tell. Maybe I'll bring Rozenmarine along. But I have to do this to not starve. Oh, Elise, I'm so glad to see you. What can I help you with, Mrs. Dorothy? I'm going to be lending Freya a hand a little while, you see. Could you fetch me some logs for the hearth in the meantime? Of course, Mrs. Dorothy. Leave it to me. I'll bring you as many as you need. Oh, thank you, Elise. You need Rozenmarine's help. Yeah, we'll try it this time. I haven't seen what it looks like when Rozenmarine helps with this. Oh, what? Oh, I got an S in all the chores. That's a lot easy. This one in particular is a way easier to get an S with Rozenmarine when she puts down those gold logs. Oh, I knew I could count on you, Elise. Here you go, for your time. Thank you, Mrs. Dorothy. I could spend longer helping Freya now. How wonderful. So it costs 20 Trill? To be able to bring Rozenmarine with you, but you're way more likely to get an S. So it's like it completely offsets bringing her. I mean, might as well replace it. Because you're going to go through one food either way, right? Where'd they all go? Guess it does seem like the rain's getting worse, huh? They're all gone. Huh. But Grandpa, why don't you children go play a little longer? Oh, Elise, won't you help us? Help with what? They want to help with the stalls, you see. It's the least we can do, Grandpa. How's Apple, Groon? He's Apple's resting at home, Elise. That whole ordeal wasn't good for him, I'm afraid. Wasn't good for anyone, for that matter. That's why we should go and help, Grandpa. Oh, Grandpa? Please help, Mr. Bernard. I didn't know he was Grandpa. I guess I can kinda see it. And let's not forget Mr. Bernard wasn't exactly on my side either. Brethren, I've gathered you here today to address the recent goings-on. You're rather late, Father. We've had enough. Show some respect, Elma. No, she's right. We need answers, Father. I'm afraid we will not be getting many today, kiddo. If this is yet another plea for us to overlook this situation, why don't we let Father Hans take the lead? He's had it all week, and look where it got us, Gustav. We're to gather here this evening for a vigil, brethren. Together, we are to appeal to the Lord's mercy and benevolence as well as, all that'll do is put a lid on folks' troubles, Father. That's right, we need this witch to pay. Who would you suggest ought to pay, Loreley? Where's this witch you folks speak of? Gustav's right, we don't know where to turn. Prayer will show us the path we ought to follow, brethren. Why, I've prayed all day, every day, and nothing's changed, Father. I fear for my poor Jacob, Father. Whoever is out there, they're taking our children, compromising our livelihoods. It's a decision folks want, Hans. We ought to search every lass in town for the witch's mark. We ought to do no such thing, you old geezer. That's no way to address your elders, Elise.
Is that so?
Perhaps if my elders hadn't completely lost their wits. Rest assured, Elise, no lass in Kieferberg will be searched, young or old. You fools still resist what must be done. Old Oaken is right, we must see this through.
This is ridiculous!
Are you going to do it then, Mr. Ludwig? If there's anyone who ought to do it, it's Lebkuin.
I wonder...
Me, Mrs. Brunhilde? Of course, lass, you're a woman of God. Woman of God or not, Lebquin is to be searched as well.
Out with it!
None of you are touching her. Still, Elise, we ought to search someone. It may be for the best, Elise. Are you searching Freya too, then? And Mrs. Lisbeth? No exceptions, lass. Truth is, we don't know anything about your cousin, Elise. Why don't we start with her? That's right, this all started the day she got here.
Oh, but
No, I haven't done anything.
Out with it!
Nobody's laying a finger on her. I saw her. I saw Elise's cousin. She's the witch. My beloved daughter. Elise saw her too. She talked to the witch. There it is, folks. They're the witches. Oh, Apple. So it was true, Elise. You and your cousin are the ones who've been making our lives hell.
Out with it!
No. You're mistaken. We've done nothing of the sort. Confess, the lot of you. Confess to your sins, you wretched witches. Did you, or did you not meet your cousin in the woods, Elise? Of course I didn't.
For goodness sake!
I was all by myself right until I found him. Why, the lad says he saw you too, Elise.
Wait!
I didn't meet anyone in the woods, I swear. Oh my goodness, look. It's the witch. The witch is here. Oh, we're all going to die.
That's enough.
We must keep calm, folks. Keep calm. She was there. I saw her. She had yellow eyes. What do you have to say for yourself, lass? I was nowhere near the woods. I've gone home by then. How are we to know such a thing, you witch? If the lad says he saw you, lass. No, I truly had gone home.
Out with it!
Why are you doing this, you little? Is she even your cousin, Elise? Truly, I've been thinking about it all week.
Oh, but
I am her cousin, Not even you know your own cousin, Elise. Perhaps she's been a bad influence on you. She's anything but, Mr. Bernard.
This is ridiculous!
You folks are losing your minds. Bad influence or not, what matters is whether she's a witch. How do you explain your cousin's kooky getup, Elise? All the things she said and done, too. I've never... She's just a lassie.
Oh, shush it!
Pinning on my cousin isn't gonna solve. Apple said he saw you two in the woods, Elise. What does Apple know about the woods?
Wait!
We must be reasonable
That's
here.
enough.
I've heard enough. Search her. We ought to search the lass right now. Find the witch's mark. I will take no more of this nonsense.
That's enough!
This is enough. Can't you see what you're doing to Kieferberg? Can't you see this witch nonsense is turning us against each other? The witch is clearly right here in Kieferberg, lass.
Oh, what do we
Nobody
do?
in Kieferberg could ever do such a thing, old Oaken. We're a family, all Kieferberg, no exceptions. Although we all understand your feelings, Freya. You clearly don't, Father. Nobody does. Apple believes he's seen the witch. Folks have been on edge all day. All of this is a consequence of how we've been facing this crisis. With fear, hostility, and hesitation. That's all very nice, Freya. But we need to do something.
I know.
Let's do the vigil then. Work on the preparations for the festival together. Like the family we are, the family we've always been.
Atta girl.
Would you folks truly burn me at the stake? Or Elise, Lebkuin, even Rozenmarine. I expect more from my family, that's all I wanted to say. You said more than enough, Freya. All of Kieferberg is to meet here tonight for prayer. As we ought to have done from the start. Move along now, folks. We're to focus on what we ought to do. Protect our home at all costs. All eyes on me. Divert the villagers' suspicions away from you. That's probably where, if your suspicion is high enough, you can straight die. I didn't like that one bit. It's best I head back to work. That's a problem. I don't know what the number for that is, but... Because, I mean, if it's maxed out, obviously, I bet if it's over 50%, it'll do it. Did you see all of the questions it had during that to be able to push you up there? Do you have a moment, Elise? Of course, Mrs. Ariane. I must tell you I'm ashamed about earlier. I couldn't bring myself to speak up for you. Well, Mrs. Ariane, you're coming to the Vigil, aren't you? Of course. That's good, Elise. That will help show them you're committed. We can't allow any more of this nonsense. I suppose she's feeling guilty, huh? When you put it like that, Tristan, don't let the whole ordeal get to you, lass. What do you mean, Mr. Tristan? Folks lost their minds for a while is all. All of Kieferberg is on edge. They don't mean what they say. No, I suppose you're right. You ought to come by later for the vigil, Elise. Both you and your cousin, you hear? Of course, Mr. Gustav. I won't miss it. Still, had it not been for Freya... You ought to be proud, Gustav. She's my pride and joy. My pride and joy! I can't imagine what could have happened had not said anything. Would not have been good. Lebkuin. I know, Elise. That was, I can't explain. Folks are completely out of their minds, Lebkuin. I was there, Elise. It's alright. They weren't being hot reasonable. I wonder what's gotten into Apfel. More importantly, Elise, now that we're alone together, I'd like to ask you. I didn't meet anyone in those woods, Lebkuin. Alright, I just needed to hear it directly from you, is all. I wouldn't lie to you, you know that. I do, yes. She knows. She knows. I hate having to lie to her. Well, it's probably not working anyway. She can read us like a book. What's with this overflowingness? Stop it. Stop it, Rain. Sits untouched. Well, untouched except for the water. It's getting its first bath in ages. Alright. Oh, no one's down here. Usually there is. Man, what time of day is it? Oh, afternoon. Okay, we got a lot to do. Let's see. We'll start here. Yeah, there she is. Oh, for goodness sake, Audley. Maybe it's best I go. I'm not certain my presence is much appreciated here. No, I'd say Mrs. Audley is the one who ought to take a moment for herself. I must agree, Audley. You folks don't understand. We've been made a grave mistake. So you believe I'm the witch, is it? Oh, I've had it with you, Mrs. Audley. Do you truly want to burn me at the stake, Mrs. Audley? Oh, please don't say such a thing, Elise. Of course not, lass, but we can't keep on. Why don't you meet me in the confessional this evening, Mrs. Audley? Before our vigil, that is. Father Hans is right. You need help, Audley. Oh, this will be the end of us. I have to keep my cool best I can. It's a proper business opportunity, I tell you. What is Mr. Wilhelm? Fetch me those tools, old Wilhelm. I told you I have the boys waiting for me with those stalls. There's no need to get embarrassed now. Embarrassed? The boys had Elise, he made it himself. For goodness sake, you have talent in your hands, lad. I've seen my fair share of hats in all my years, and I tell you, I understand, old Wilhelm. The tools now, please. I wonder why he's so embarrassed about it. He certainly has the talent. That is a nice hat. Good for you, man. You ought to be patient with your auntie, Mindy. But Mrs. Marielle... What are you pestering Mrs. Marielle for, Molly? Oh, it's all right, Elise. She's had enough trouble for one day. Laurelie's been working the poor lass like a donkey. Oh, all I ask is... What? Oh, all I ask of my auntie is some bread. Your auntie feeds you plenty. Maggie. It seems she doesn't, Elise. She only gives me 3 meals a day, Elise. Why, you? That's hardly enough for a working lass, Elise. If only I'd known, that's why you've been begging about town. It is, it truly is, Mrs. Marielle. Now, for goodness sake. How did Melody get so good at swindling folks? Practice. She's been doing it since she's been 1 year old, clearly. You must give it some proper thought, Dorothy. Give what some proper thought, Mrs. Brunhilde? Oh, we're having a little chat is all. Kieferberg isn't the place to raise our children, Elise. After what happened this morning, I'm not going to gobble up your baby, Mrs. Brunhilde. I do agree, Mrs. Brunhilde. The way Kieferberg's turned on me. Oh, it's got nothing to do with earlier, Elise. We've been thinking about this for a long while now. I have a hard time believing that, if I'm honest. But it truly wasn't, Don't say such a thing, Elise. I'm gonna gobble up the baby regardless. They can do whatever it is they want. It's got nothing to do with me. You'd best believe the doors to my inn will be locked, Laurelie. What for, Mrs. Wilma? I won't have folks making a ruckus inside my inn. Folks have had enough of that for one day. Wilma, why don't you let Elise lend them a hand? As if I would let this lass anywhere near my inn. Afraid I might put a hex on it, are you? You've made yourself clear, Mrs. Wilma. I'm not very interested in helping you out either, as a matter of fact. Good. Come now, Wilma. You heard what Freya said, didn't you? What of it, Laurelie? This witch is still out there, and all we're doing is a vigil. You're truly... I'm surprised folks don't take this old hag for the witch. Let's see. What am I low on? I feel like it's always a good purchase to have an extra one of those lying around. So far, that seems to be the most important thing to spend your money on, because you'll just straight die. I already talked to them. I check out the windmill. There's Eugen. On a walk to clear your head, lass? If only, Mr. Eugen. This town's at a crossroads, isn't it? At a crossroads, Mr. Eugen. Folks stepped over the line there, Elise. Not everyone agrees with what happened today. You don't, I'm assuming. It was the final nail in the coffin, lass. I'll be on my way to Primal Door first thing Sunday morning. I see. You too, Lise. You shouldn't stay much longer. Not after what was said and done today. If only I could leave that easily. What if we just walked to Primal Dwarf and saw what happened? You know? How far away is it? You can see it. That can be a hard measure. No, Elise. About earlier, had it not been for you, they would have... No, Elise. I don't think they would have done it. Freya, that appeal of mine was rather childish, wasn't it? There was nothing childish about it, Freya. I'd say you were rather brave, even. Thank you, Elise. Had it not been for her, I would have been, You would have been in some trouble, that's for sure. The Vigil ought to bring us some peace of mind, old Oaken. Wouldn't you say so, lass? I'll be there, Mr. Ludwig. Might have to wonder what for. Oh, come now, we've all had enough of one day. I'm tired. Oh, apparently we haven't. I'm tired of this nonsense, Mr. Godot. Old Oaken certainly has enough by the looks of it. I understand how you feel, Lise. However, we've all had enough, lass. What are you talking about? We haven't searched her. How are we to know she isn't the witch if, Search me right now, then. Why don't you? Nobody's searching anyone, Elise. What happened today was a mistake, lads. This witch is laughing in our faces, provoking us as she pleases. Another word and I'll put a hex on you. How would you like that? That's her. That's proof she's the witch. Come now, old Oaken. I'm tired of this nonsense, Mr. Godot. What's the point in trying when nobody believes me? Now I understand what happened today was rather unpleasant, Elise. We ought to have searched them, Ludwig. What would you do if you found something, old Oaken? It's not worth it, Elise. Let's put this behind us. That's a little difficult to do, Mr. Godot. Especially when you yourself are so vocal about it. I was caught up in the uproar, Elise. So was I, but I don't get the benefit of the doubt. Come now, folks, the Vigil will bring us all together. These folks never learn, do they? It is what it is, Linda. Elise, I can go if you'd like. I feel we ought to apologize to you, Elise. Apologize for what, Linda? Why, for treating me like a wretch? You think I deserve that? I don't recall ever giving folks reason to treat me that way, Mrs. Zelma. Look, I admit it wasn't our finest moment, but... folks are frightened, Elise, especially after what Apfel said. Poor Apfel, he's so clearly troubled. Everyone seems to forget I, too, was in those woods with him. You're a little older, Elise, it's different. That said, Mrs. Elma, you're right, Elise. It wasn't fair to you. We have to start somewhere, that's all. That witch can swallow this town whole for all I care. Now, those statements like that, Elise, I know you don't mean it. You're exaggerating. You have a reason, but now you know just how serious that would, be. And there she is. Elise, look what I found. A rock. Oh, but doesn't it look like Flock? There's even a little tail, look. A little tail, you say? This one, too, doesn't it look like a chicken? There's the beak, see? So this is how you put that bracelet together, huh? Ah, yes, that's right. Lord knows why you're so drawn to useless junk. It stops being junk the moment you give it meaning, Elise. That bracelet means plenty to both of us, wouldn't you say? Oh, shush it. Say, Rozenmarine, how come I can't seem to find meaning in any of this? What do you mean, Elise? Kieferberg's so dear to everyone, yet I'm treated like a wretch. Working myself to the bone, putting up with their ill tempers. It all made more sense when Granny Holly was still with me. I think our Granny's passing has affected us in similar ways. All Granny Holly's passing meant was for me was isolation. That too, at least, and I felt lonesome as well, but you see. That's when I started following my own path, and I'd say... You'd say the same applies to me, huh? Doesn't it? Not in Kieferberg, Rozenmarine. There's nothing for me here. I'm much more than what this town sees in me. Ah, look, Elise. There's something in the creek. Huh? It's gold. You see, Elise, I don't think meaning is something you find. I think it's something you create. Take that nugget we just found, for example. What about it? Something so precious sitting in such a place, waiting to be seen. It reminds me of you, Elise. I'm not asking you to change your mind about Kieferberg, but chasing after what truly matters to you, that's where meaning is found. Meaning, huh? It's not the same for everyone, is it? You ought to focus on what truly matters most to you, Elise. That's it. There's something I'd like to tell you, Elise. And I'd say that there's something you'd like to tell me too. I suppose there might be, but come now, let's head back to town before you get any redder.
Rozenmarine!
Hurry, Elise. Why you? A letter. It's torn, but I can't be convinced it was Walpurga, the witch who's granted old Holly her sinful wish. No part of my research has corroborated her confession. None of it mentions him. I am certain he, whoever he could be, is the key to old Holly's last words. Unfortunately, I must confess to my own sinful ways through this letter, as my only chance at salvation after what I am about to bring upon all of Kieferberg. There is no other way but to call upon Walpurga, the witch, myself. Once I meet this witch, I will be able to determine one of two things. If she truly is our patroness, Saint Walpurga, in her reformed glory as dictated by the Lord, I can fully dedicate the rest of my life as a clergyman to her adoration and celebration of her miracles. If, however, She's not only a witch, but a demonic entity masquerading as one. I have no choice but to bring the Lord's justice upon hers and Elise's wretched souls, and to end her reign once and for all. No, this can't be. This can't be true. I ought to. I have to find out more. I have to break into his study. Oh, we're back here. Wow, we haven't been here for a while. Catacombs key. Yet another key. There's a tag on it, though it's rather faded. Study. I think that's what it says. This is all I have now, I suppose.
Now that you mention it.
Father Han's study. I ought to find a way to sneak in. Now, why is this here? Was this a sacrifice? Oh, right. And what is with... So, branches? Maybe the ribbon... Maybe this is where she made her... Because of the ribbon is the same as Elise's? I'm not sure. Can't say, though. Whew. Man. That'll just burn through your sanity. Primaldorf can't be our only option, Finn. Still, kiddo, at this rate, many towns better than Kieferberg, the way I see it. Brunhilde's been saying the same thing, lass. Kieferberg is our home, Finn. Isn't Mrs. Brunhilde from Primaldorf? That being so, she still chose Kieferberg to... Would you truly be happy to raise your children here, Giddo? Without proper schooling or jobs? We can teach them our trade, Finn. You keep changing your mind about this, Giddo. Have you noticed? So do you. Kieferberg's dying faster than I thought. How am I doing on food? I might as well get one. Oh, wait. I'll eat the pretzel later. Saving that for more sanity stuff. There's Kiddo. Kiddos, they want to play Kiss the Rat. That game is really very tricky at the very beginning. Once you get it started, it's a lot easier. Oh, it's overflowing again. I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilma. You were right about these folks, Elise. What are you talking about? Oh, Mrs. Wilma. We're so terribly sorry. Miss Wilma said we could so. Haven't they apologized enough, Wilma? It's not apologies I want from them, Mrs. Marielle. It's respect. I'm not certain I follow. I can now say I understand how you felt this afternoon, Elise. Huh. Now that's a proper exaggeration, Mrs. Wilma. Truly, you're making too big of a deal out of this. Freya, it's not worth the hassle, Elise. It's best you forget about it. What, was she accused of being a witch for the first time or something? What would happen to her? Yeah, how do you like it? Being suspected of something you didn't do yet. Oh, Elise. What's wrong, Mrs. Lisbeth? Must do it sooner rather than later, Lisbeth. Still, Marlin. You see, Lisbeth was telling me about this afternoon. Oh, Elise, I should have said something on your behalf, but instead yeah, you did nothing. That's alright, Mrs. Lisbeth. I understand this hasn't been easy for you. No, Elise, you ought to let her apologize. Had it not been for Freya, I too would have believed them, Elise. Mrs. Lisbeth, make certain you come to tonight's vigil, Elise. And bring your cousin along too. Of course, Mrs. Marlin. Mrs. Lisbeth looks rather shaken. I understand, Father. You too, Elise, not to make certain your cousin joins us. The vigil, you mean? It's important she's present tonight. She'll be there, Father. Folks need as much reassurance as we can give them is all. Aren't you pushing yourself, Lebkuhn? I'll be heading home in a moment. It's alright. About this afternoon's events, Elise. There's nothing left to say about that, is there? Folks are regretful, lass. I understand, Father. Lebkuhn knows how patronizing his words truly are, huh? I almost want to walk up to him and just be like, show him the diary entries. Can you do that? I wonder. That would be a funny... What do you have to say about this? You seem tired, Elise. It'd be more surprising if I wasn't, don't you think? I'll prepare something hearty for supper, Elise, since it's your last. For goodness sake. There's no need to put it that way, Rozenmarine. But you head back home first thing after sunset, alright? Of course. And make certain you find Flock, too. I can't help but worry about all this rain. Oh, Elise, you do care for Flock. Shush, Rozenmarine. What a tasteless way to put it. It's not like I'm gonna die. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Running about in the rain, are you? Aren't you as well, Mr. Bernard? I quite enjoy this view, is all, even with the rain. Have you seen old Wilhelm by any chance? Do you need anything, Mr. Bernard? You can keep a secret, I'd wager. We're all preparing a present for Eugen, you see. For Mr. Eugen. We wouldn't want to let him go without some token of appreciation is all. Old Wilhelm's been working on it. Won't you ask him about it? I could do that, Mr. Bernard. It's rather nice of them, isn't it? This rain won't let up, will it? We can only hope it's not raining tomorrow, too. Even if it is, Elise, we'd best make the most of it. Make the most of the rain, you say? Figuratively, lad. Where do you get all that cheer from, Mr. Gustav? Ought to wonder, huh? What have we to gain from brooding all day? Kieferberg needs some good cheer now more than ever, folks. No two ways about it, ought to agree. If only everyone else shared Mr. Gustav's outlook on things. Hey, there we go. Don't you dare block my route to my favorite shopkeeper. I'm selling. Okay. I haven't sold stuff in a long time. I still want to buy one of these. I just don't need to. I almost want to get two, but I better not get too hasty. I have one on reserve for now. Maybe I'll buy another one if I S the minigame. Where'd Muffy go? Ought to put it behind us, Bertha. Still wittering on about earlier, I presume. Nothing of the sort, Elise. It's Welma. Miss Welma? Wilma's given her an earful, Elise. Right in front of everyone, too. All because she let Linda and Freya keep the flowers in the shack. Oh, for goodness sake. That Wilma. One can't help but feel for Welma, that poor lass. Coming all the way from Primal Dwarf to lend a hand in for what? Truly. Wonder what trade she's planning on learning. If only Miss Wilma had stayed in Kieferberg instead. Or are you coming along too, Elise? She has better things to do, I'm certain. Going where, Mr. Heinrich? We're polishing off the stalls, lass. You'd best head home to your cousin, Elise. She might want to give us a hand. I'll come about later for the vigil, Mr. Heinrich. It's a good thing you do, Elise. Tomorrow will bring much-needed joy, folks. We ought to make it special for Eugen's sake, too. You're making a big deal out of it again, Heinrich. He's right, Eugen. We ought to do a proper job of sending you off. Tomorrow will bring much-needed joy, huh? It's all gonna go horribly wrong. It's all gonna go horribly, horribly wrong. Just watch. I hope it doesn't, but, well. Where is Mr. Wilhelm? I already talked to him somewhere? Huh. Maybe he's in church. It's the last place I've been. Hiding up here? No. Nobody else goes up here except for me and Lebkuin. There you are. Perhaps this vigil will bring Kieferberg together. It will, Mrs. McTilda, you'll see. That's rich coming from you, Mrs. Elma. You were so adamantly against it earlier, too. It's important to know when to forgive Elise. I can't say I was in the right. You've been rather unfair. Isn't this the proper time to make amends? I suppose it's good that we do it before the festival. Truly, Elise. I've been too firm with you for no good reason. Thank you, Mrs. Elma. All's well that ends well, wouldn't you say? This won't last, will it? Why are you so hard to talk to today? Let me get your attention. What the? He doesn't want to talk to me. There we go. Mr. Bernard's looking for you, Mr. Wilhelm. About Eugen, I'd wager. Tell him I'll have it ready by tomorrow, Elise. What are you giving him, Mr. Wilhelm? You certain you can keep this a secret? Of course. Eugen said he wanted a new pocket knife, you see. I've been working on it since Tuesday. It's taken a lot of work. Oh, that's cute. That's nice of them, I suppose. So, what did he say? He says he'll have it ready by tomorrow, Mr. Bernard. Good, good. Here you go, Elise, thank you. Some soup? You didn't have to, Mr. Bernard. We didn't have to be that harsh on you either. Yet here we are. I suppose. Folks are feeling guilty about it, but it's a little too late for that, isn't it? I mean, I straight up thought I was going to die. They were going to put me up on a crucifixion or something. I won't bite you, Mrs. Audley. Oh, Elise, what am I to do? I've been scared witless all week. Everyone can tell, Mrs. Audley. Oh, will you please fetch me some eggs, lass? Alright. If that's what you need, Mrs. Audley. Oh, did you get so many in such little time, Elise? I know my way around the coops, Mrs. Adderley. Well, you can have this. You're coming to the vigil, I'm hoping. I'll be there, Mrs. Adderley. What the? Right. Easiest one to find ever. One more to join our entourage, I see. Huh? Oh, it's marvelous, you'll surely agree. The banquets, the spectacles, the prestige. What are you talking about? You'll see it when you get there. Oh, he's given me all I could ever want. Which was? My luxury, wealth, opulence. Oh, I can't wait to have you and your inamorata with us. My, what? Wow, it is really raining. Holy. Alright, let's see. Nobody's down here. Should get on home. Oh, I must hurry. Isn't the vigil in a couple hours, Mrs. Audley? Not to the vigil, lass, to the confessional. I must make certain I get my peace of mind or else... Or else? Why, you truly don't understand anything, Elise. Your name may have been cleared earlier, but that witch is still wandering about, whoever it may be. Ah, I see. Oh, where is Father Hans? If I don't do my nightly prayers, even I might fall prey to that thing. Living in constant fear truly is sad, huh? Yeah. Truly, old Wilhelm, it would be the final nail in the coffin. What would Mrs. Loreley? Why, if Primal Dwarf catches wind of this witch business, folks would think we've lost our minds. I must agree with you there, Mr. Wilhelm. We'd be the laughingstock of the whole town, even more than we already are. Having them help with the grain is embarrassing enough as it is. Now, I wouldn't say that's reason for shame. How isn't it, lass? Primaldorf must think we can't look after ourselves by now. Can we? I wonder. Things happen. There you are. I'm not here, at least. I'm slacking off again, I see. My Auntie Cheese. What about your Auntie Miffy? She's going to throw me in the well, Elise. Can't you stay put for one moment, Molly? I was hungry, you see. I had no choice. All that bread was sitting there, and Mrs. Loreley won't be happy to find out. Oh, I'll have to sleep outside tonight. Move to Primaldorf even, or else. Make certain you go to the vigil, you hear. Oh, is there going to be food there? Oh, for goodness sake. What is anyone to do with you, Maggie? I have that key in... Oh. Can I talk to her over here? Still, Mindy's been avoiding Mrs. Loreley even more than usual, hasn't she? Makes me wonder. Does Mrs. Loreley also have pink hair? Didn't even notice. Yeah, we'll get one more. I'm buying up all of them. Have one, at least one on hand. On your way home, lass. Wouldn't it be best if we walked you home, Elise? It's no trouble, lass. There's no need to fret, Mr. Gustav. I'll be alright. If you say so, Elise. The sooner you go, the better. I'll see you in church then. And I'll be there, Freya. we'd best get to preparing supper too, Freya. I ought to have a word with Father Hans before this vigil. Mr. Gustav's being on my side truly is a stroke of luck, isn't it? Elise Wade. Just what I needed, huh? We're sorry to keep you, Elise, but there's something well, there's no need to hold back, Dorothy. What's this all about? It's your cousin, Elise. She claims she has a way of knowing if my baby's healthy. I thought you'd be interested. Haven't you been trying to do that yourself, Mrs. Brunhilde? That's true, Brunhilde. The poor lass might have just been trying to help. I'll be on my way home now, Mrs. Dorothy. I'll be back for the vigil, with my cousin, of course. Oh, just one this time. I think it was because we brought Rozenmarine with one of the chores. So if you bring her to both, you don't have to deal with the extra grueling. Or grilling. Kind of grilling as well, but grilling. You're going to fall ill again at this rate, Lab. I can look after myself, Elise. It's best you get some rest before this vigil, don't you think? Don't you think it's rather odd, Elise? What is Lepkuin? I have a strange feeling about tonight's vigil. It all feels a little, as though there's a false sense of calm. Folks did change their tunes rather quickly, that's true. Here, before I forget. Do you think they might all lose their minds again tonight? Not necessarily, but I must admit I'm feeling nervous about the festival, too. You spent too much time comforting folks today, Lep. You're rather too calm too, Elise. I've been tormented over this witch nonsense all week. I suppose I can't blame you there. It's best I move along now. Still need to have supper. I'll see you in church, only if you promise to get some proper rest before the vigil. Anything to say, Granny? Oh. Won't you join us? What? Let us take revenge on that fiend. Once you become a golden maiden like me. What are you talking about? Once you do, let us reunite. What makes you so certain I will? Why, we all do. That's why I want to put an end to him. For betraying us, for damning us all to this. This wretched eternity. Betraying you. Huh. Folks don't want me here, that's for certain. Even I have to leave all my good memories behind. I must do it. I must at least meet him. Rozenmarine,
For goodness sake!
what are you doing out here? Are you trying to? Why don't you come dance with us, Elise? We ought to get ready for the Vigil, Rozenmarine. But we're having such lovely weather. Lovely weather, you say? Flock agrees, don't you, Flock?
For goodness sake!
I'm heading inside. Come along, Rozenmarine.
Oh, but
Ah, Elise, wait.
I'm sorry,
So, we're going to this Vigil. We ought to, Rozenmarine. Folks need to see we're committed. Say, Elise, I know you don't like to talk about it, but you're meeting him tomorrow, aren't you?
Now that you mention it...
I suppose. You still don't have the Sweetest Nectar, do you? You went to the woodland last night. What about it? You've been gathering the testaments and...
You know...
all I have is that needle, Rozenmarine. A needle? That's the testament I received last night. I pricked my finger on it too. The Sweetest Nectar also needs a part of your mortal body, remember?
Rozenmarine...
So you mean... the flesh, the blood, and the heart, Elise. Those are the, We can talk about it after the Vigil, alright? You get changed now. I've brought some bread.
Yes!
Ah, alright. Come, we should hurry, or we'll be drenched.
Yes!
Want to take a look at that tapestry, but one quick peek around here. It's time I make a decision, but can I trust myself to make the right one, I wonder? Say, Rozenmarine, about the Sweetest Nectar. It's your determination that matters most, remember? What does that mean, Rozenmarine? Blood. That's what you're going to offer him, isn't it? Well, you must show him your commitment, Elise. Whatever you do, you must prove you're willing to leave everything behind. Your faith, your loved ones. Rozenmarine, you have to want it, Elise. Do you? Leaving everything behind, huh? As much as I do want it, I must admit I'm still a little hesitant. Oh, Elise. Oh, frogs. Huh?
Rozenmarine!
Rozenmarine, where are you? Oh, what the? It's that Serpent. I have no choice but to carry on, do I? Show yourself. I know you're in here somewhere, Serpent. Oh, what am I doing? Getting myself into this mess, and for what? To get out of Kieferberg, to leave it all behind. But at what cost? The tender flesh, the sweetest nectar. All these things I've seen and done, I'm beginning to wonder. If I really meet him, if he can grant this wish of mine. This wish of yours is within your grasp. Can I truly attain it? You've received his blessing, have you not? Trust yourself, Elise. Trust his word.
Now that you mention it.
I could get out, leave this town behind. All I've ever been here is a maid of all work, a stray. Ever since Granny Holly passed, I've been nothing but an outsider. Now you're a witch, Elise.
I see.
A witch. Unshackle your burning desire from the depths of your very being. Embrace, Elise, your rightful fortune and wealth, your freedom. I want it. I want my second chance at happiness. Huh? What in the...
What in the Lord's name?
It's the town square. I must be dreaming. This can't be real.
What is this?
What is that? There's something in the church. I'm in that serpent's depths, no doubt. A delicately decorated fountain stands tall in the village square. Huh. Eerie motifs. You've come here to stay, I see. Says who? A place of solace. That's what our beloved Aziel is providing for us here. All I've heard in here was weeping, though. We're all doomed, all of us. We've lost everything. All we have left are these depths. What's so great about this place, would you say? The silence. He never visits here. I can't say I understand. He never visits here, huh? Well, what's up with this first? Is that...
Rozenmarine.
That sounds like Rozenmarine. It's that serpent. I must find a way into that church. What? Can I use the... I have one porcelain knife left.
What is this?
It's completely destroyed. I have to find a way out of this place.
Rozenmarine.
Rozenmarine.
Wait!
Wait. These moon phases, I wonder what they're for. They seem to be connected somehow. They truly did a number on Kieferberg, huh? If only they could see this. Overtaken by the woodland, Kieferberg's various homes are now at its mercy. So, I wonder if we're looking at the future. Like something happens to make it... Pushed something there. These trees are everywhere, huh? More berries. By just pushing the buttons. Oh, I think I get it. There we go.
Keep it together.
I have to get a grip and go find her. The Serpent could have done a better job with Mrs. Wilma's inn, I'd say. Take heed, lass. We don't take kindly to light in these depths. Oh, for goodness sake, that startled me. They don't like light, huh? They don't take kindly to light, do they? The inanimate head rests peacefully, nestled. Oh, nested, did, in the berry bush's foliage. So I'm gonna have to turn my lantern off? Is that what they're saying? No, they're even giving me a save point. Alright, what happens if I don't turn it off? Oh, berries. Ah. Okay. Definitely should have got more should have got more matches. How many do I have? Only 5. Okay, let's see. Acquired the Lyre of Aziel. A Lyra? Lyra? I can't remember. I think it's Lyra. May your innermost desire come true, Elise. This statue is speaking to me. Why, don't look so surprised. Weren't you talking to your own reflection a moment ago? Oh, I'll never get used to this nonsense. It all depends on you, Elise, how far you're willing to go. The sacrifices you're willing to make. I've come this far, haven't I? This isn't the last of your perils. You must find your resolve deep within yourself, Elise.
I see.
I suppose I've been rather hesitant until now. If you don't fight for yourself, Elise, who will? I can only depend on myself, huh? Then so be it. These fiends keep mocking me at every turn, huh? A statue of Elise beholds the observer with a blank cold stare. What's going on? Better eat that sausage. Scared to turn on my lantern now. I don't have any more matches anyway. Well, that's not good. Rozenmarine! What in the... You're rather brave, lass. You? Do you yearn for wealth and fortune that deeply? I clearly do, Serpent. Now let her go. No, I don't think I will.
What is this?
What in the Lord's name?
Rozenmarine?
You know, there's something you have yet to come to terms with. Something you've been avoiding. What are you talking about? The good company, lass. You've sacrificed your mortal body for the tender flesh. You know it's your blood needed for the sweetest nectar. Yet, it's the good company you refuse to surrender.
What is this?
What are you talking about? Show me the depths of your heart. What? I wish to see how dearly you care for your beloved.
What is this?
You want to know how deeply I care for Rozenmarine. I've only known her for a week, but
Now that you mention it,
those mean more to me now than I ever thought they would. I can't say I fully understand her most of the time. Everything about her is so strange and so foreign to me. All of her nonsense about fated, Yet I find myself so drawn to her, I can't help it.
anyway,
Rozenmarine has been right about everything. I don't know why or how, but I've come to trust her.
I see.
These past few days I've truly come to. That she can truly take me to him. Rather self-serving, aren't you? You're not worth my time, let alone his.
I see.
In our new beginning together. What's this? Item get acquired vessel testament. A bottle? For your sweetest nectar, lass. Show yourself, you wretch. Ah, you're truly so bewitching, lass. To think you're willing to betray such pure feelings. Might need to get out of here. Oh, it makes me want to keep you all to myself. I must say, I feel much better, Father. We were all a little too tense. I'm back in Kieferberg. Get some rest, everyone. We have a long day ahead of ourselves tomorrow. We're to gather here first thing at sunrise for the procession. Don't forget. Come, Mrs. Audley. We'll walk you home. Oh, thank you, my dear. Ah, Elise.
Rozenmarine.
Rozenmarine. What are you doing here? Did you go to the Vigil? I was sitting right beside you the entire time, silly. What?
I'm sorry.
More importantly, Elise. I was wondering if you've given the gift some thought. Huh?
Are you?
Is everything alright, Elise? Ah, yes. What about the gift, Rozenmarine?
Oh,
I was thinking since we had the red wine during the Vigil, why don't you do something similar with your gift to him? Meaning, why don't you use the water that's already in those basins? Together, with the needle, you could make him the Sweetest Nectar. As a gift? I can wait for you outside and make certain nobody sees you. I'd best do it quickly. I wouldn't want to get caught by Father Hans. Using the water in the basin. I suppose I can give it a try.
You mention it.
Rozenmarine said I could make him wine, using the water in this basin. If only I had something to hold this wine in. At least, come on. That Serpent's vial. I suppose it'll do nicely. Now all I ought to do is... make wine or the Sweetest Nectar, I suppose. There's only one thing I can think of, and it sounds rather painful. At last, lass. Don't you dare come any closer, Serpent. The Sweetest Nectar at last.
This is ridiculous!
That's what I've come here to do. Your passion for your wish runs deep within your veins, lass. It's writhing inside you. It consumes you.
Out with it!
What do you want from me? Your blood, lass. You wretch. Give it to me, your Sweetest Nectar. We'll be waiting you tomorrow, lass.
Out with it!
I've had enough of this, Serpent. For goodness sake, all this for...
I see.
This thing, the Sweetest Nectar. I've made 2 gifts, but I'm still missing the good company, aren't I? Talking to yourself, lass? Is there something you'd like to tell me, Elise? No, I was, It's best you move along, lass. It's late.
Now that you mention it.
I'll be on my way, Father. Don't be late for the procession tomorrow. Really? Are you just going to let me go to bed? Nothing gonna be crazy? Look at all these candles. Blue flame. Come now, Rozenmarine. We're going home.
But I...
At least, how did it? We can talk about it on the way. Let's go. Father Hans nearly caught me, Rozenmarine. Oh, but he didn't. No, you don't understand. You got the gift, didn't you? The Sweetest Nectar. I suppose I did, but... all that's left now is the good company. The good company, you say. I still don't understand what that is. Why is the object of your affections, Elise? The objects of my affections, you say? It's all about commitment, Elise. Oh, I've had it with this commitment nonsense. I never want to hear that word ever again. You're so dramatic, Elise. Oh, how I would love to be your good company. All right, that's it. What, did I say something wrong? What is the good company, Rozenmarine? Well, I'm certain you already know deep down. It's essentially a representation of your heart, Elise. So we have the flesh, the blood, and the heart. I understand the meaning behind all that, but it's the one you love, Elise. Huh? You must show him you're committed by offering him your flesh and your blood, and by appearing before him in your most vulnerable state. You don't mean the one you love most, Elise. You must take them to him with you. All right. I wonder if Wilma is still there. Nope. Because I am literally out of matches. Just don't put out this one. It'll be okay. Any secrets? I guess everybody will probably be to bed. It's the witching hour right now, isn't it? That'd be funny. Granny Gretel's still selling her bakery. Bakery doesn't close. It's a 24/7 service. Whoa. What's this? Where are those fireflies going? What in the Lord's name? Oh, whoa. Ozzy? Don't misunderstand, lassie. You can't take it back. I have no regrets, demon. Take her and do with her what you will. As long as you keep your promise just the same as I've kept mine. Rather cold, aren't we? I've made my choice, that's all. Very well, lass. I'll be expecting you at my banquet. Huh? Where am I? Wait, you can't do this to me. Sani? What did you do, Valerie? You've had it coming since long ago, Alpenrose. Flaunting your wealth in our faces day in and day out. What are you talking about? Really, Valerie? I don't want to do this anymore. He's sworn it, Sani. We've got him the gifts. He's sworn he'll get us both out of here. No, I can't. Wait, Sani? What is this about, Valerie? This is all your fault, Alpenrose. All of it. You there, help me. Huh? Me? It's too late for you, Alpenrose. No, Valerie, don't.
What is this?
What in the... What did you... You'll become one of us too, lassie. Huh? Kept close to him and his vassals, ready to answer their every whim. Trinkets, showpieces, kept for his amusement. Whether it's your wish he's granting or someone else's. This is the price to pay for uttering his name. The price we paid for his blessing.
Wait!
Get away. What was that? A dream? It's done, I suppose. Although I don't know what exactly I've done. I've gathered the testaments and made the gifts, and used them to make gifts for him, but... I'm still missing the good company, I suppose. The good company, the one I love most, that's... None of this feels real to think I'll try to meet him tomorrow. I have no choice but to keep going. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll have all been a dream. Or maybe I might actually make it out of Kieferberg. I'm here again. I keep having this dream. The castle. It's so close now. If I do meet him, if I bring him those gifts, and if he does grant me my wish, not only this castle, but everything and anything I could ever want, it will all be within my reach. That dream again. and I'd best get up and head to town. I suppose we'll have that procession in the morning as usual, but I'd like to spend some time with Rozenmarine later too.
Now that you mention
Anyhow, I'd best get going to the festival. Oh, 2 bites out of the apple and it's gone.
Good morning, Elise.
Oh, Elise, good morning. You're excited too, aren't you, Flock?
For goodness sake!
We're not taking the goat to town, Rozenmarine. Oh, but Elise. What are you so excited about anyhow? Why, it's the day of the festival, Elise.
Now that you
But I don't
mention
think it'll live up to your expectations, Rozenmarine.
it- Oh, Elise.
It's not just the festival, you're meeting him, too. I know.
I'm sorry,
You're not changing your mind, are you?
For goodness sake.
I'm not. Good grief, Rozenmarine. Let's go.